Based on Tuesday's primary results, do you think voters have changed their minds or their attitudes when it comes to Alaska's fiscal crisis?
You know, I think there's been a good job done by lots of organizations to sort of help inform Alaskans about the magnitude of the situation we're in. I think that Alaskans their awareness of the situation is much higher than it would have been a year ago. And I think that's a result of a lot of work that was done by different organizations, the Rasmussen Foundation as an example. And I think that the vetoes that I made were, while they're extremely difficult for me to do, I think that people are recognizing the severity of the situation.
Several incumbents were taken out. Based on that fact, 6, maybe 7 incumbents looking forward to November and then to the next session. What is the makeup? What would the makeup of the legislature would you like to see where you think you could get the most work done?
Well, you know, it's not over yet. The primary, although some of the primary races are conclusive, obviously, because maybe there's nobody going forward in the general. So those have concluded. So I look forward to working with whatever team Alaskan voters put together to send to Juneau. And so it'll be there'll be some changes, and no question, because some you know have chose not to run again. So it'll be a different makeup. To sit here and project what impact that's going to have, I think the legislature next session is going to have a different attitude about, at least in the House. The Senate certainly took the vote and passed the Permit Fund Protection Act. And I think the House will move out on that as well this coming session.
A lot of incumbents, like I said, voted out on Tuesday. Had your name been on the ballot, do you think voters would have reelected you?
You know, I have no idea. I just don't make my decisions that way, and so I have no feel of that one way or the other. Obviously, based on the decisions I've made, my focus isn't on you know, being in a popularity contest. It's about getting the job done.
What needs to happen between now and next session in order for you to get that fiscal plan passed?
Well, we don't stop working on it. There's no off season for us. And so we will continue, as I've been doing statewide, talking to Alaskans in any forum available, a Rotary Club, a Chamber of Commerce, a Teachers Association, or a City Council and Assembly, continuing to talk to them about the situation, but more importantly, listen to their input, their concerns, their suggestions. And so almost every day I'm talking to some group about it, because that's what we need to do. And so we had a Facebook Live event recently, which I'd not done before. That was really actually a lot of fun. So we're going to do that more often, and the more ways that we can reach out and talk to Alaskans and answer their questions, correct any misinformation they may be concerned about, that's what we're going to continue to do.
I did my first Facebook Live on Tuesday night too.
Oh, good.
A little harder than I thought it would be, but
yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I thought it was I liked it.
All right, well, let's talk about AKLNG, because there's been a lot of turbulence. You started the session, we talked a lot about it in the beginning of the session, January, February. There was a lot of turnover. There's a new head now in Keith Meyer. When you were elected, you promised to honor AKLNG and all the work that's gone into it. Do you think that you've kept that promise?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I've stepped a bit beyond that. When the producers came to us and said, boy, there's a couple of options. One would be to transition to the state. We'll work with you, or to sort of stand down for a period of time and sort of go on a slower bill. We decided, no, let's find out if there's a project here or not. So we did not start over. I think I'm the only governor, I'm not sure far back you have to go, that has not started over. We've absolutely not that. We've continued the process that's in place. The technical, there's been absolutely no hiccup on the technical side. The pre-feed work is coming to a conclusion at the end of this year, so that's all very much on track. So, you know, every time you start over again, although many times some of my predecessors were heading they're making good time, but they're going the wrong direction as they gallop through Canada to take our gas down to the lower 48, which was a washing gas. So at least it's going in the right direction, and so that's what I've always said for the last few decades, that we need to take it to Tidewater. The AKLNG process, take to the Tidewater, so I'm certainly supportive of that. And so my obligation is to make sure that Alaska has a fair chance in the marketplace, that we finally take the field, if you will, and that's what we're doing right now.
Do you have a backup plan just in case? Because no one's ever gotten this AKLNG plan built. What's the contingency plan?
Well, you know, the contingency plan is, I mean, there's other ways of monetizing Alaska's gas. I mean, it's worth trillions of dollars, and the best way to monetize it is with a large volume gas line to Nikiski, to have low-cost energy in Alaska, to be able to open up mining opportunities throughout the state as a result of, you know, the biggest beneficiary of Australian LNG project is the mining industry, because they have low-cost energy as a result of that. So, you know, we will continue to advance this to the market and let the market make that decision. And, you know, as the producers have suggested, we look at a tax-exempt structure, which was certainly a savings. So we appreciated that suggestion. We're looking at that now. You know, if it's a project ultimately that is designed by the producers, built by the producers, operated by the producers, that'd be perfect. And owned by the state for tax-exempt purposes, that would be a scenario that would be good for Alaska. So as long as it gets built.
Some legislators have accused you of keeping them in Juneau so they couldn't campaign and get reelected in this last, Bob Lynn being one of them. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to that?
You know, I'm sorry those that lost need to cast about to try to find and point fingers at why they certainly are entitled to their opinion. You know, with a $4 billion deficit, we needed to finish the job. We owed it to Alaska to fix Alaska. And so we did have additional sessions because of that. In the middle of one of them, I took the hard positions that they wouldn't take as far as on some of the budget reductions. And even after that, they wouldn't. So, you know, there were plenty of times and breaks that for campaign. Some came back and campaigned during that period of time. So, you know, there was no motive on my part other than fixing Alaska. That's really my everyday motive is, what do I do to fix Alaska?
What have you learned from last session? Is there anything that you would have done differently in moving forward?
You know, I've thought about that a bit, although I don't spend a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror to see what we could have done differently. But I do that to make sure, because we're going to be coming back into the session this time. You know, last time we sat down, we had 400 meetings with legislators, meetings all over the state, group presentations, one-on-one presentations. We went door to door. We did about everything. I can't imagine what we could have done differently that would have come up with a different result. So I think we tried everything. So we'll continue that this year as well. There'll be changes perhaps in some of the new players, and we'll work with them. And so I just think that without you know, facing an election, perhaps it'll be a different engagement. At least I hope so.
Do you think that your relationship with legislators will be better? You're talking about that. Is there anything that you're going to make sure that you do, or how do you make sure that that relationship stays solid?
You know, I think our relationship with was fine. I mean, I was a member of their bowling team. I can attest that the Speaker Chenault is an excellent bowler, and Representative Guerra is a great bowler. There's lots of Representative Thompson, as I'm thinking, the really great ones sort of stand out in our league because it was a lot of fun. So I engage with them in lots of different ways, and so I feel I have a good rapport with the legislators, and you know, we talk throughout the summer. We've met a number of times throughout the summer, and so I'll continue to. My door is always open to them.
This is for Danny. She's doing a story on the rape kits and the audit that you called for across the state. What was the reasoning behind it? Why call for that audit?
Well, because there was a problem. When we saw the numbers of how many were not being processed, we wanted to find out, you know, how large is the problem? How much is out there that we don't know about? So I said, no, let's find out about this. And Amanda Price has been working very diligently on this, and so now this is a serious issue that we need to find out how big of a problem is it. Anything
else that you would like to tell our viewers, or that you really want to mention?
You know, I just say one of the most enjoyable parts about my job, and there's lots of enjoyable parts, is really getting out to Alaska, getting out to Alaskans. And so, you know, I've been talking with the City Council of Kotzebue, the Arctic Northwest Borough. I was in Dutch Harbor last week. I was in King Cove, Cold Bay. I was in Delta Junction for a day, Homer. you know, it's been great too. And each time it's by invitation. I get a lot of invitations of coming in. But when I go and meet with community members, I try to, you know, and a lot of times it's to look at what projects that they have going on, and it's very exciting projects around the state. But it's also an opportunity to engage with them. So I love to sit down and around a coffee pot and at a table and have a conversation with Alaskans. And so that's the part that I've enjoyed immensely.
And it seems like you just work 24/7.
Well, you know, I kind of look at it as I used to commercial fish a bit, so I look at it as a 4-year opener. And in an opener, you just don't stop. And so that's kind of, you know, and when we're faced the situation that we're faced with in the fiscal situation, I really feel it needs to be ongoing. And so we stay on it pretty much around the clock.
And you said in the past that your job is to get things done, and it's not a popularity contest, and getting reelected isn't on your mind. Is that still true?
It is. I mean, when I said in the State of the State that I ran for this job to do the job, not to keep the job, you know, you can't do what I've been doing with an eye towards how can I keep my ratings up, how can I do this, how can I do that. You know, all I do is I ask Alaskans to trust me, and if they trust me, that's the most I can ask for. The trust that what I'm doing, and I'm doing it because I believe it's the best for the future of Alaska, the future generations of Alaska. So that's why I'm in this position, is to make sure that we have a strong future. I didn't expect I'd be spending as much time trying to balance a checkbook as I have been, but I ran for governor to build Alaska and somewhat fix Alaska. We had a $1.6 billion deficit when I ran, and that's grown to $4 billion. So we really have a serious hole to fill at this point, but we'll get it fixed.
And one last question. You're almost 2 years in. Is it what you thought it would be? Is it harder, easier?
It's more enjoyable. I mean, I'm more enjoyable than I thought it would be. I worked so hard to get here. I never actually took a moment to sit back and say, wonder what it's like to be governor. You know, so it is. I enjoy it immensely. I enjoy it every day. Now, the First Lady likes to sort of remind folks that I did come home one time last winter during the session about 10 o'clock at night, and she'd seen a couple of news cycles that day and knew it wasn't a particularly pleasant day for me. And she said, well, Bill, she said, are you still loving being governor every day? And I said, maybe it's every other day I love being governor. Every once in a while there's a day that's not as exciting as the one as you'd like it to be, or it's exciting for the wrong reasons. But I absolutely, what I didn't really realize how much I would enjoy being governor. I really looked at it more from a work standpoint, what we need to get done, more like just a job, and it's what makes it so enjoyable for me is the people that I meet. A couple of days ago, I was in Fairbanks for the arrival of the kids at the first day of school at Joy Elementary School and at North Pole Elementary School, and to be able to be there and greet those young kids coming in for the first day of school. They were just so excited, and I mean, it's probably the most exciting day of school, second only to the last day of school, I think. But it was just fun to be part of that, to be able to be there as a governor and shake hands and wish them a good school year.
Great. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah.